we do not know what we're dealing with. And it will take a new generation of leadership at this minbar from the ulama who can put one and one together and help the people overcome their challenges. Otherwise, we're headed for a slippery slope that will have no end but in the abyss, wal-'iyadhu billah, of negativity. So he explains three things in his book called Deep Work. Wallahi, when I read some of the excerpts of the book, you know, when they publish a book, they give you an idea what this book is about. There is one hadith of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that came to mind. Maybe Dr. Newport doesn't even know that indirectly he's actually promoting what the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said 1400 years ago. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says in a hadith in Bayhaqi. Hadith in Bayhaqi. وهذا الحديث مختلف فيه. This hadith has a very amazing difference of opinion. Sanadan. When we talk about hadith, there are two aspects. Is it attributable to the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from the sanad, like the people who transmit this information? Can we 100% sure and with surety say that this can be traced back to the blessed lips of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? This is a difference of opinion. Some ulama have said that the sanad and the chain of narration is weak. Some of them have said hasan. And some of them have said it is 100% accurate. However, all of the ulama who consider the hadith chain of narration weak or hasan, marginally acceptable or correct, sahih, they all agree on one core principle, that إن الحديث في معناه صحيح. The meaning of this hadith is 100% in line with the behavior of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the words of the Quran. The hadith which we are alluding to is by Bayhaqi. He says, إن الله تعالى يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. That Allah loves when a person of you takes a project on, or he commits himself to something, يتقنه, itqan. And the verse that we read of the Quran in Surah Naml, verse 88, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَرَى الْجِبَالَ تَحْسِبُهَا جَامِدَةً. That you see these mountains, you consider them to be solid. وَهِيَ تَمُرُّ مَرَّ السَّحَابِ. تَمُرُّ مَرَّ السَّحَابِ. That the mountains also move with the earth just like the clouds shift. And Allah says, صُنْعَ اللَّهِ الَّذِي. This is the engineering of Allah. الَّذِي أَتْقَنَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. He has perfected everything. And this book that he wrote, being a computer scientist, he argues three things. Number one, it is actually better not to have social media. Number two, you will be more productive in less time if you don't have social media. And number three, your thoughts will be fragmented, which I alluded to in Arabic, al-intishar al-ijtima'i, and you will go in depression. And he said that the early studies in which Facebook was released as an initial pilot in the universities in the United States show that a lot of youth in their sophomore years started to suffer from اضطراب nafsi, anxiety and depression. So al-abd al-faqir ijtahad. I looked at all of the meanings and the data I have, and I have come up with a new term. حقوق الطب محفوظة يعني. تطبيقات اللهو الاجتماعي. والذين هم عن اللهو معرضون. This is lahu. This is nothing but a slot machine. So Professor Newport, not a sheikh, not an Islamic scholar, not Mufti Saab, Professor Newport says that there's a difference between somebody who goes to Las Vegas to pull the lever on a slot machine and gamble, and then somebody who carries the slot machine with him in his pocket all the time. That person is more likely to be an addict and a person who's self-destructive. Do you get the analogy? Do you understand the analogy? That if you go somewhere in an internet cafe and you pay money and you gamble and you come out of it, that's different. But if you keep the gambling in your pocket all the time and all you're doing is thumbing it up, you will have anxiety. You are more likely to develop depression. You are more likely to become a statistic. Now this behavior is not going to be, oh, I can just do this in my entertainment time, but when I'm working, I'm not going to be doing this. I'll be focusing on work. Well, if this takes away your ability to focus, then how are you going to pray 2 rak'ahs? How are you going to read the Quran? How are you going to go and focus on da'wah? How are you going to, you know why? Have you noticed that when YouTube came out initially, the guidance for people who created YouTube, right, was you can't go over 15 minutes. Now they've lengthened it. Now you can do live shows, right? But now if you look at the statistics in YouTube, you will see that most of the videos are snippets. Because as time passes, the people's attention is also decreasing. That eventually, if we do not stop this as ulama, I'm telling you there will be a day when people in America will be leading salah by saying after the Fatiha, Alif Lam Mim, Allahu Akbar Ruku'. Because people will say, I can't, brother. Sheikh, why are you reading a long verse of the Quran? Just read Alif Lam Mim. And then it'll be just Alif. And then they'll say, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Alifun harfun, Lamun harfun, Mimun harfun. So, it is a collective robbery of your privacy. By the way, just to be on the scorecard, the only thing I have is LinkedIn, and that's because of my job. Other than that, I have no social media at all. So I'm not doing nifaq. That the Sheikh has 2 million followers, and he's telling us to quit it. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me. Alhamdulillah. Now we know, and this is what's going to happen after 10 years in the Arab world, when the families are going to get broken apart, when the people are going to go nuts, when the people will have not enough therapy, then they will catch on. Hey, by the way, in 2016, there was this lonely voice in the wilderness of Dr.Cal Newport. He wrote a book called Don't Use Social Media, and you will develop things that will leave a mark in history. You know what he's saying right now? He's saying, right now in the future, what I see is that the people will give up on social media, and people will develop superstars and people who will change the way history is going, and industry is going, and economy is going, are the people who will know how to focus for a very long time on a task. One of our mashayikh, Sheikh Muhammad bin Uthaymeen rahimahullah, rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah, he was in one of his darses, he used to say, did you ever wonder why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took 6 days to create the earth? Allah could have done it in 1 day. Why? He says because it is itqan. Atqana kulla shay. Allah perfected everything. Allah perfected everything. And that is why the human fetus, when it is created in the womb of the mother, it takes 9 months to perfect it. Take your time. And now you will see that not only are our religious institutions suffering, our schools are suffering, our colleges are suffering, and I'm talking about collectively. Collectively, you will see that the attention spans are so small that we cannot even carry on a meaningful conversation with each other because we are addicts of social media. And the fatwa machine has not caught up. You know, back home we have a fatwa machine. They will produce fatwas, mass produce fatwas like Starbucks coffee. That's what's in the media. But there are Ahlul Haqq. There are still islands of hope in the mashayikh and the people who truly know how to rear and give spiritual nourishment to people who are spiritually deprived of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to see the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your dreams, if you want to dream vividly, then you need to hook yourself away from these things, because then the spiritual awakening starts. And Dr. Newport says that people who quit social media is almost like people who quit cigarettes. The first week is nervousness, cold palms, sweats, agitation, very angry and bad mood. And he says after a while, The second, third week, life becomes so peaceful that then you say, what kind of madness was I into? Even if it's for Islamic sake. See, all these things, oh brother, I only use Twitter for dawah. Well, that may be true, but Cal Newport argues that I actually say that having no social media is better for your mental health than having a little bit of it, because he says the detrimental effects of social media are way out of control. We discussed this subject long time ago about a University of South Florida PhD research in which they looked at statistics with youth from the 13th year all the way to the 25th and the 28th year, and they found that most of the people develop depression in later life. And Dr. Cal Newport said words that I heard in Medina. Please come forward. Please come forward. This is something that Allah is, wallahi, if I had not heard this, if I had not heard it and read it in Dr. Cal Newport's presentation, I would totally have not believed it. But I am the question in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm comfortable. I asked some of my senior ulama who are in Medina al-Munawwara, I asked them, what do you think happens to a person when they use computers excessively or social media excessively? And one of them, he smiled at me, in haram. And in Urdu he said, dimag ki tare badal jati hain. He said the wiring of the brain changes, and he started laughing and reading the Quran. He's been teaching Quran for 50 years in the haram. May Allah give him long life. So now Dr. Cal Newport, now look how uncanny this is. He says our brains are not wired for social media. What did he say? Our brains are not wired for social media. If we use it, it'll cause damage. And that's why you will see young youth come to us after the khutbah. Sheikh, what book do you recommend? Here's the book I recommend. After 6 months, did you read that book? Oh no, I just started the first page and couldn't finish. Sheikh, I want to become a qari or a hafiz or muhaddith. It's very boring to do that, by the way, because you have to sit long hours on the same hadith over and over and over. Very monotonous. It's not exciting. It's not exciting, just like school is not exciting. But the rewards after you finish school, and the rewards after you finish the ilm, and the rewards after you give da'wah, and the rewards after you pray are very, very, very tasty. Because then Allah gives you the effort in the form of physical change in society. Ask a person who has been out in da'wah for 40 days, brother, how much fun are you having? They'll say, I don't know what you want. It's just very boring. But then, all of a sudden, Allah will give one person who becomes a Muslim. Or a Muslim who comes and he says, I do tawbah. And now this person, even after he dies, and this person lives for 100 years, and his children's 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 children, all that reward will be keep accumulating in his account, as well as the person who give them or to help them to do tawbah or enter this religion. Not only them, their children's 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 children. So our nasiha is what? Our nasiha is very simple. We have to realize that this is not a joke. We have to realize that we need some change. As a parent, and of course maybe I'm a bad dad, but I have deprived my kids. I've intentionally done that. I've told them you will have no social media. And sometimes it's hard. But as a parent, if you let loose your kids that are young on social media, I do not see any justification for you to say it's okay. What I see is ithmun ala ithmun ala ithm. They will be cursing you 25, 30 years down the road that had my father stopped me, from this phone when I was 18 or 16, I would not be in this situation right now where my marriage is falling apart. I'm just saying, I'm just saying it. So nothing is like مباح وخلي الموضوع يمشي ما في مشكلة. طيب حتى لو انجن يروح عند طبيب نفساني. يا أخي. Be a father that cares. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu used to pray tahajjud all night, and he used to have his baby in front of him. And he used to say, لِأَجْلِكَ يَا إِبْنِي. When he used to get tired in his knees, when he was old, he used to say, لِأَجْلِكَ يَا إِبْنِي. For you, my son, I pray all night. And then he used to recite the surah of Kahf, the verse, وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. That their father was a good man, therefore Allah kept that treasure hidden, and He sent Musa and Khidr alayhim as-salam to get that treasure out. This was the mentality of the Sahaba. They never said, oh, I saw Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, therefore I have a stamp of approval. They used to worship all night, and they used to say, لِأَجْلِكَ يَا إِبْنِي. That is true compassion. Compassion is not to give in and give. I asked one of my mashayikh, when should I give my children cell phone? He said, you know what he told me? He said, what if your son asks for a knife tomorrow? Are you sure that he's not going to cut his hand? I said, no. He said, then why are you giving him a knife? Why are you giving him a knife? And look at how many Muslims have already given and handed not only a knife, Allahu A'lam what. So go buy that book. It's called Deep Work. Deep Work. By who? Dr.Cal Newport. If you can't find it, come to me. I'll show you where the link is on YouTube. But the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says in a hadith, which is weak, but the meaning is correct. The hadith is, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الشَّابَ التَّائِبِ. Allah loves a young man who is consistently making tawbah. And a hadith which is correct, that strengthens this hadith, and the meaning is that on the day of judgment there will be 7 types of people who will be under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And amongst them, شَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ أو فِي عِبَادَةِ اللَّهِ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. That a young man who grew up watching himself, what? In the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if he had faults, he would do tawbah. Even if he had faults, even he'd do tawbah. And those are the peoples who are going to shape the future of this ummah. The future of this ummah is not going to be shaped by people who are already developing anxiety disorders. The shape of this ummah is going to be decided by people who look at scientific data and the data of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and forge a path for themselves to go and be successful leaders for all mankind. All mankind. May Allah save us from the tribulations and the fitan of this zaman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us and guide us. Inshallah, Sunday from Asr to Isha, there is a program in Masjid Khadija. From Dhuhr to Asr, there is Boy Scouts. And then from Asr to Isha, the brothers who have come here from different parts of the country for da'wah, they will basically be here to do also a youth program. So all the youth and the parents are encouraged that if you're interested in Boy Scouting, inshallah go there from Dhuhr to Asr, and then from Asr to Isha there's a program as well. This is a holiday weekend for the school kids, because Monday is off. So do them a favor and take them there, so they can have some positive, inshallah, interactions with the brothers who have sacrificed and come to give da'wah, inshallah, in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if anybody needs extra information, after the Jum'ah I have to go back to work, they can come and contact me later through text, or when they find me, and I will point you to this book if you want to buy it. $15 from Barnes & Noble, or online on ebook, and if you want hardcover, it's $28. May Allah guide us all and keep us safe and sound in our locality.